Before we go deeper into the content, let's discuss a practical setup for agent building. Through this course, we will be conducting several hands-on demonstrations of AI agents in action. And because of this, it's very important that you take a moment now to prepare your environment. First, I need you to set up an account on Manus, Meta's AI agent platform, available at manus.im. We will use Manus to create and orchestrate intelligent agent behaviors in our real-world scenarios. Second, please set up N8N, which is a powerful workflow automation tool originally developed in Germany. It's one of the best tools available for building the AI-enabled automation pipelines that will power our agents. The N8N can be accessed at n8n.io. And third, you will need an account with Claude, available at claude.ai. We will use Claude Cowork as our collaborative associate to help with tasks such as organizing files and supporting our analysis. Most of these tools are either free or offer very low-cost monthly plans, or have trial versions that are perfectly for our exercises. It's crucial to have these tools ready, because Part 2, 3, and 4 of our course are built entirely around live demonstrations. Having these tools on hand will help you to successfully complete the exercises we will be doing together. And this brings me to the format of our course. While I will introduce key concepts, the heart of this program is practical demonstrations and real-world applications. You will achieve the best results by building, testing, and experiment right alongside me. Without having the tools ready, you will not be able to get the most of this learning experience. So please, take a few minutes now to get your account set up, and I will see you in the next lesson. To master AI in project management, we must understand the fundamental difference between a creative assistant and the autonomous manager. And this is the core distinction between generative AI and agentic AI. Generative AI is the brilliant creative assistant, a powerful co-pilot that excels at content creation. It's a reactive partner that responds to your specific prompts to produce a single, well-defined output. Think of it as the tool you use to draft the project charter, summarize a lengthy meeting, or generate a first pass at a risk register. It requires high level of human interaction, with the project manager guiding every move to produce the desired content. Agentic AI, in contrast, is the autonomous manager, a proactive autopilot designed for actions and complex workflows. It doesn't just create content. It independently executes a series of tasks to achieve a high-level objective. You set the goal, and the agent plans the steps, makes decisions, and interacts with other systems to get the job done. This shifts the human's role from a hands-on operator to a strategic overseer, demanding far less direct intervention. And during project planning, this difference is stark. You use generative AI to brainstorm a list of potential project risks or to write the initial scope statement. It provides the raw material for your plan, the foundational content that requires your strategic input. An agentic AI, however, can take that list of risks, analyze their potential impact on the schedule, and autonomously develop a full mitigation plan. It can build the entire project schedule from a simple goal, identifying dependencies and optimizing the critical path on its own. Once the project is in the execution, their roles diverge even further. Generative AI becomes your communications engine, drafting clear status reports and personalized stakeholder updates. It helps you articulate progress, explain complex issues, and prepare for key presentations. Meanwhile, an agentic AI acts as the project's central nervous system, constantly monitoring progress against the baseline. It detects budget overruns in real time, identifies resource conflicts before they become a problem, and can trigger automated alerts on corrective actions. This brings us to the most critical domain: adaptive decision making. When a major unexpected issue arises, you might ask a generative AI to summarize the relevant data and propose three potential solutions. It presents the options, but the final critical decision rests entirely on your shoulders. An agentic AI operating within predefined guardrails can take the next step. It can evaluate those options against project constraints, simulate their potential outcomes, and autonomously select and implement the best course of action. It doesn't just suggest a path, it takes it. The true power, however, it's not in choosing one over the other, but in their synergy. The most advanced project management systems use agents to orchestrate the work. And within that orchestration, they call on generative models to create the necessary content. One is the doer, the other is the communicator. Understanding when to deploy the copilot versus the autopilot is the key to unlocking the next generation of project intelligence. Now, let's see the different types of agents. At the most fundamental level, we have the reactive agents. These agents operate in the present moment, responding to immediate stimuli without any memory of past events. Think of a traffic light. It changes based on the current traffic flow, not on what happened yesterday. Similarly, a reactive agent in project management will instantly notify a project manager if a task is marked as blocked or halt outdoor activities if detects adverse weather conditions. Their strength lies in their simplicity and real-time responsiveness, making them ideal for dynamic environments where quick, rule-based actions are essential. However, their inability to learn or strategize limits their application when it comes to more complex scenarios. Building on the immediacy of the reactive agents, deliberative agents introduce foresight and planning. These agents are the strategists. They use stored information and advanced algorithms to analyze data, predict future scenarios, and create structured plans. They don't just react, they think ahead. For instance, if a project is at risk of missing a deadline, a deliberative agent can simulate various scenarios and recommend the best course of action, such as reallocating resources or adjusting milestones. They are designed for long-term goals and can adapt their plans as new information becomes available, making them invaluable for complex projects requiring intricate coordination. Now, let's shift to our next category. What if your project management tools could improve over time? This is the domain of learning agents. These agents are designed to get smarter with every project. They use machine learning to analyze data, identify patterns, and learn from feedback. For example, a learning agent might recognize a recurring bottleneck in a process and suggest a proactive strategy to prevent it in the future. The more data they process and the more feedback they receive, the more accurate and effective they become. Over time, they evolve from simple tools into intelligent collaborators, continuously optimizing project performance. Collaborative agents act as the central nervous system for a project team, enhancing communication and streamlining collaboration. They can do a couple of things. Automate tasks assignment based on team members' availability and workload. Provide real-time updates on project progress and ensure that everyone has the information they need to succeed. The culmination of these capabilities is found in autonomous agents, which represent the future of project management. These agents can operate independently, meaning with minimal human intervention across all project phases, from initiation to closing. An autonomous agent can create a project plan, allocate resources, and dynamically adjust the unforeseen challenges, all without waiting for manual input. In summary, these different types of agents show a clear progression in capability from simple reaction to full autonomy. Together, they illustrate how AI agents can support project management in different ways, depending on the level of complexity, adaptability, and independence required. We have explored the different types of AI agents, but the real power comes from knowing precisely when and where to deploy them in your projects. The key is to define specific pain points in your workflow that are repetitive, data-intensive, or prone to human error. And let's start with the most straightforward application: automating routine tasks. Deploy an AI agent when you find your team is spending valuable time on administrative work. This could be things like scheduling meetings, sending reminders, or performing manual data entry. Here is a good rule of thumb. If a task follows a clear, repeatable pattern and doesn't require strategic judgment, it's a prime candidate for automation. This frees up your team's cognitive resources for more complex problem solving and creative work. Next, consider how you generate and distribute project reports. If you are manually gathering data from multiple platforms like Jira, Asana, and financial software, it's time to deploy an agent. This process is not only time-consuming, often taking up a full day each week, but it's also a major source of errors. An AI agent can automatically consolidate this information, creating a single reliable source of truth. It can then generate and distribute customized dashboards and reports tailored to different audiences, from high-level executive summaries to granular team-level progress charts. Now, let's talk about moving from reactive to proactive risk management. Deploy an AI agent when you have access to historical data from past projects. The agent can analyze this data to identify recurring patterns and the subtle early warning signs of potential risks. It provides continuous 24/7 monitoring of your project's health, something no human can do. This allows the agent to flag emerging threats, such as resource bottlenecks or potential supplier delays, long before they become critical problems. By suggesting data-driven mitigation strategies, the agent helps you see around the corner, not just react to what is directly in front of you. Effective stakeholder communication is another area ripe for AI-driven improvement, especially at scale. Deploy an agent when you manage a large or diverse group of stakeholders who have different information needs and communications preferences. Manually personalizing updates for every single person is simply not feasible. An AI agent can automate this by drafting and sending tailored messages. This ensures every stakeholder receives relevant, timely information without being overwhelmed by noise. It can even handle a routine status inquiries, providing instant answers and freeing the project manager from being a communication bottleneck. Maintaining financial control is critical, and this is where AI agents for budget tracking and forecasting provide immense value. It's time to deploy an agent when your spreadsheets are no longer providing the real-time clarity and predictive insights you need. An agent can integrate directly with your financial systems to monitor expenses as they happen, not weeks later. It automatically categorizes spendings, compares it against the budget, and sends immediate alerts when costs deviate from the plan or approach set thresholds. By analyzing historical spending patterns, it also generates more accurate financial forecasts, giving you the foresight to manage cash flow and prevent surprises. Finally, let's address the often neglected but vital task of maintaining accurate project documentation. Deploy an AI agent to eliminate the administrative burden of documentation and transform it into a valuable living asset. The agent can automatically transcribe meetings, generate summaries, and extract key decisions and action items. It ensures your project knowledge base is always up to date by reflecting changes in real time. This makes crucial information instantly retrievable through intelligent search. No more hunting through outdated folders and files. By strategically deploying AI agents in these key areas, you are not just automating tasks. You are building a more resilient, transparent, and intelligent project management ecosystem. This empowers you to anticipate challenges, make smarter decisions, and ultimately focus your energy on leading your team to success. This is our first hands-on example of an artificial intelligence agent in action. Let me lay out the context, the case, and the challenge. We are going to use Manus, the autonomous agent tool that Meta acquired at the end of 2025. Manus can autonomously execute a series of activities and produce complete artifacts for our projects. In this example, we will ask Manus to produce artifacts related to stakeholder engagement and the communication process. The project we will use as our case study is a fictitious construction project of a 300 megawatt onshore wind farm in Texas, United States. This project includes the installation of 55 turbines, a substation, and approximately 29 kilometers of transmission line. The schedule runs from January 2026, when permit begins, through December 2027, when commercial operation begins. It's a complex project. It has multiple subcontractors. It impacts on local communities, landowner agreements, and environmental sensitivities, including noise, wildlife, and traffic. It's exactly the type of project where stakeholder engagement can define success or failure. We will ask Manus to create a complete stakeholder engagement plan, including the stakeholder map, a detailed register, the engagement strategy by project phase, the top risks, governance, and performance indicators. On top of that, we will ask for a communication plan with audience segmentation, a communication matrix, ready-to-use templates, and a crisis communication playbook. And in the next lesson, I will show you Manus acting in real time on this challenge and helping us better engage our stakeholders. In the previous lesson, I introduced you to the challenge we have with a wind farm project in Texas, United States. And I was looking to see how I can improve stakeholder engagement and also the communication plan. So let's see the prompt. I prepared this prompt using Microsoft Word just to make my life easier. So I put, you are a senior stakeholder engagement plus communication lead for a large renewable construction project. You need to create a stakeholder engagement plan plus a communication plan for this project. If any critical input are missing, ask up to 6 short questions, multiple choice where possible, otherwise just proceed. When I do this, what I'm trying to explain is if Manus has any question about it, it can ask me up to 6 questions, and I would love to have a multiple choice question so I can answer it quickly. If Manus finds that is not needed, it will just proceed. On the project detail, I'm explaining everything I explained in the previous lesson, and the outputs, I'm explaining every single output. So I need 6 outputs for the stakeholder engagement plan: stakeholder map, stakeholder register table, engagement strategy by phase, top 10 stakeholder risks, governance and RACI, KPIs and monthly report, and the 6 items of my communication plan: audience segmentation, message architecture, communication matrix, cadence plan, templates, and high-level crisis comms playbook. So all of these A and B are my outputs. And if I'm using an agent, what it will do? It will do all these processes at once, and it will deliver for me the artifacts I am asking it to do. So what I will do, just to make my life easier, is to copy this prompt, and then I will go straight to Manus, manus.im, and I'm using Manus 1.6. I can use Manus 1.6 Max, but I will use just the normal one to make our analysis a little bit faster. What I will do, I will paste this information here, so pasted content here, and I will tell Manus, please execute the prompt attached. So I'm asking Manus to execute all the prompt attached. I can put the prompt in a PDF format or a Word format. I just pasted it here, and then I will click this. When I click this, it will start running. And we will see in the next lesson how this will take place in the execution side of this routine. Right now, the fun part will start. So what I will do is I will ask Manus to execute the attached prompt. When I do that, Manus may ask me things. If it does not understand anything, it may ask me. So I need to pay attention on what is happening. So Manus is working. What is important? Did you see that it's step 1 out of 4? So take a look. It's here showing me the progress of the tasks it's doing. And it's having a computer to do that inside Manus. And now Manus, let me see. So I reviewed the project details for the Texas wind farm. The brief is comprehensive, but I need clarification on a few critical points to tailor. Do you remember the 6 questions? I can see them here. For example, project phase status. Are we in pre-permitting planning or has permitting already begun? So 1, permit already begun. Then question 2, budget for engagement. Is there a dedicated budget for stakeholder engagement? No specific budget for that. Question 3, environmental sensitivities. Beyond birds, bats, are there specific protected species or habitats of concern? No. Question 4, local opposition level. Do you anticipate high community resistance or it's a generally supportive region for renewables? Very resistant community. Let me just fix here. Very resistant community. Question number 5, regulatory complexity. Are there state level or federal permits? Both state and federal permits are required. And last but not least, question 6, escalation authority. Who is the final decision maker for major stakeholders dispute? The developer, EPC contractor, or a joint steering committee? And say, joint steering committee. So I answered the 6 questions. Remember, I'm asking an agent. Imagine it's like an employee. I have to do this analysis. So I answered the 6 questions. I sent the answers. And now Manus is thinking on what it will do. So perfect. Remember, I am on step 1 out of 4. Now I'm starting step 2. So it's drafting the stakeholder engagement. If I click here, just out of curiosity, I can see Manus computer is starting to craft everything. It's a markdown document with everything it's preparing for me based on generative AI in all my documents and my information. So Manus computer is doing all the analysis for me on step 2. So this is the face on how an agent happens. So maybe this will take 1 minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes. And when it's ready, we will be back for the next lesson to explain and show you the results. After about 5 minutes, we have all the tasks done here by Manus. If we look here to the screen, we will see all the steps. So Manus is ready and it's created a 9,000 word document covering everything I asked them, all the 6 steps for the stakeholder engagement and the 6 steps for the communication plan. And I can click here, view all files. This pasted content, it's my document, the document I pasted with the prompt, and I have communication, stakeholder, and this, the final one. Let's take a look on the stakeholder engagement plan. When I click here, I will see all the document, stakeholder map, even a graphic comparing influence and impact, high influence, low impact, high impact on stakeholder matrix, stakeholder register, everything we have on stakeholder, engagement strategy by phase, so everything here. And if I click here, I can download this in a markdown format, a PDF or a doc, or save in my Google Drive for example, and I can share this with other people. So I have all my document here in 5 minutes, an incredible 5 minutes. This is the power of one AI agent working for you. So the RACI matrix, all the KPIs, and all the monthly communication report and everything. And then I can click on the communications plan and audience segmentation, external audience, all the information, everything ready for me in 5 minutes. So it put a combination of different agents helping me in the Manus computer inside my prompt to deliver and to create all these artifacts for me. So this is one of the first examples I showed you. The first time I saw that, I was completely amazed, because just to produce a simple document like this one could take weeks. And here, using AI agents, it took me about 5 minutes and a good prompt. In this lesson, we will discuss agentic workflows, which are workflows that execute a series of tasks using AI agents. And for this, we will use N8N as our reference platform. But before I go into N8N, I want to discuss the process with you. So let's imagine you are a project manager and you have assigned an AI agent to analyze your project's risks. This agent monitors the email address LinkedIn at ricardo-vargas.com. First, the agent will evaluate if the subject line contains the word risk to initiate the workflow. If the word risk is not present, it will simply disregard the email, because that email is not part of the risk analysis. When an email with the subject risk arrives for this analyst, it will trigger an AI agent. This AI agent will be based on the OpenAI plugin and will use my historical risk database. It will also use a risk breakdown structure to categorize risks within my project environment. It will create a description based on the content in the body of the message. It will create a risk assessment for me, structured around risk event and its impact. It will also do a qualitative assessment of the probability and the impact on a scale from 1 to 5, where 1 is very low and 5 is very high probability or impact. It will update the risk register for me and reply to whoever sent this message to my agent at LinkedIn at ricardo-vargas.com. The reply will state that the risk has been registered, and it will include the registered risk, its probability, its impact, and the response plan. With this, my workflow is ready, and only now I will build the agent. Remember, clarifying your workflow means the process of building your agent is more streamlined and the agent itself is far more effective. And this is what we are going to see in the next lesson. We will build this AI agent using NHN. Right now, we will start working with N8N to build our recipe. And it's like a recipe of a cake. It puts the steps, the conditionals, and everything from the beginning to the end. And I can do, if you see here the screen of N8N, I can do this adding step by step and doing this manually. But of course, I can use AI to do that. So what I will do, I will go on ChatGPT and I will record my instructions. So I will tell ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to prepare for me the prompt for N8N. So I will press here. I need a prompt to be used with N8N with the following instructions. Build a workflow that will receive an email at LinkedIn at ricardo-vargas.com, and if the message comes with the word risk in the subject, you will continue in the flow. If the message comes without the word risk on the subject, you should disregard the message. After receiving this message, you should trigger an AI agent using OpenAI API, the OpenAI account I use. And you will analyze based on the previous database, a historical database that I have with more than 100 risks as a historical information for you to use as a reference. And what you will do, you will take the subject and you will analyze the context of this subject and you will rewrite the following columns. The first column is risk. You will rewrite the risk in an event and impact way. Like, for example, instead of it will rain, you will write it will rain during the dock of the boat and this could damage the ship, for example. Then probability from 1 to 5, impact from 1 to 5, where 1 means very low probability and very low impact, 5 very high probability, very high impact. Then we will work on the response. Basically, we'll have the responses mitigate, accept, avoid, and transfer the risk, like insurance. And then the last one will be a description of your response. So a set of strategies that you should use as a response. After doing this, these 5 fields should be stored in my risk report, where I have a column called risk, a column called probability, a column called impact, a column called response, and response description. After doing this, you will send an email back to the sender, to the person that sent to LinkedIn at ricardo-vargas.com, a reply saying, your risk was registered, and fill the information, the risk, the probability, the impact, the response, and the response description. This will allow those who submit the risk to receive a feedback with a quick analysis of this risk. This is the prompt I need to do. Please keep this prompt less than 5,000 characters because N8N will not support more than that on the prompt. After doing this, it will transcribe for me everything I said, and it will prepare for me a prompt. Look, now it's thinking and it's using, okay, this, okay, you are a risk analysis agent for incoming email sent, all the instructions, everything here I need. So then I will copy this. And then I will go on the workflow automation N8N, and instead of adding manually, I'm just trying to save time, I will click Build with AI. Then I will paste my prompt here. I will paste my prompt here, and I will run my prompt. And what is the magic? Is that N8N will prepare for me my workflow pretty much automatically. We'll do pretty much from 5 to 80%, 90%. And then I just need to make final adjustments on that. One important point, I already connected my account at N8N with my account on Google, where this email LinkedIn at ricardo-vargas is hosted, okay? And I also connected my N8N account with my OpenAI account to make sure that it's connected to the proper AI agent, because N8N does not have an AI agent. So look, email trigger, risk analysis, historical, and then what I can do, I can click on each of them and I can select the credential, I can create a new credential, I can create a new trigger, I can do everything I need here to update. For example, it's already connected to my OpenAI model, it's already connected to my historical risk, and what I can do now, I can update this. I can, for example, update here and automate my risk database and step by step. And I will create this until I answer and I submit my final email. So what we'll do in the next slide is to see this workflow ready, and I will execute this workflow so you can see. So between now and the next slide, I will just trigger and update some of the information here to make sure. It's nice to make sure I'm adding here, for example, a Gmail account to send a message, for example, and then I can put the Gmail account I want to use, for example, and I can close. And then did you see? I can send a message, have an email trigger, and update this. So in our next video, we will see all this workflow ready, and we will execute and see what will happen with our workflow. Right now, what we can see here is a slight different from the previous one because I worked just to organize it a little bit because it's easier for you to use, for example, the AI and start the first step in the first batch. But the quality of your prompt impact the work you need to do now. And then, for example, I'm monitoring a Gmail because my LinkedIn at ricardo-vargas.com is on Gmail, and then the in and the out are Gmail, and then I'm checking here. The subject contains the word risk. If no, then it's done. The workflow will not operate. If it's true, then it goes here to the AI risk analyzer. And the risk analyzers will use the OpenAI GPT model and a risk database. Remember, the risk database is this risk database that I created as an example and as a reference for the automation. So you can put all your risk database here, all other historical information if you want. Then when the risk, here is where the risk will analyze, and this is where my prompt is. For example, and I'm saying the prompt, write all risks in American English, for example. And then the prompt here is in Portuguese, and doesn't matter, you can put in any language, and the output will be in English. Then save to risk report and reply. So how do we test the model? The first thing we do is to check if the output here is an email. So this is a fictitious email that I'm only testing, and this email, just to give you an idea, so this email was an email I sent to LinkedIn, and I said rain can occur during the docking of the ship, causing damage to the structure of the ship. That's it. I didn't put a single additional information. So after doing this, check. Then I click here and I execute this step. Let's see, it execute, and I will close. It will show an OK sign, and it will move here. It means that email came with the word risk in the subject. Then the AI has all the prompt here, and I will execute this step. I'm executing as a test. Every time before you put in production, you need to execute to check if it's good or not. So you check here, and it will produce for me the output. This is the heart of the engine. This is the AI. So the output is writing, rain during ship docking, causing structural damage to the vessel, leading to repair cost, operational delays, and safe hazards. Probability 3, impact 3, and the response and everything. So it's written here, but it's not yet in a good way. Then, okay, it's done here. Then I will click Save. Before I do that, take a look. It's empty here. There is nothing here. I will come here and I will now click here and I will execute. So what I'm doing, I'm mapping what is written risk, you will put as a risk. Probability, you will put as probability, impact as impact, response. These are the fields of my spreadsheet, the spreadsheet called risk report. And this is the sample of the data. So it's very intuitive. I will execute. When I execute this step, I wait, and then it put this, and let's take a look on my Google Sheet. Oh God, it's here. It already created the first line of my risk register. And then the final step, so I'm testing, everything is going smoothly. If there is a mistake, I will see the error here. And then the last one is to reply. And I want this message, for example, your risk, this, and the probability, and thank you, this is in Portuguese, but no problem, you can write whatever you want in HTML here. Execute this step. When I execute the step, it's already sending to me an email, and I am waiting for the email to arrive, and then I will open my email. Look, hi, your risk was received, and detail, risk, probability, impact, strategy, description, everything for Ricardo, because I was the one sending this risk. So in the next video, I will show you two things: how you can adjust and fine-tuning this flow. And let's execute this flow. Let's send a new message and see what happens in the execution mode. Right now, we are ready to put this into production. But before I do that, I want just to give you an advice, a quick tip. So if you select everything, all your workflow, and copy it to the clipboard, and go on ChatGPT and create a new chat and paste this information here, and this is the design of your agent, and press send, what will happen? It will analyze for you and it will point everything you did wrong. It's the best way for you to fine-tuning any workflow. And you can do that easily on ChatGPT. I will not wait here for the answer because I know this workflow is already working because I tested it before. So it goes from receiving an email up to replying the email. So what I will do now, I will prepare an email and send this email to LinkedIn with the subject risk, and I will insert my risk, but I will not insert in a perfect way. I will insert saying, I am concerned about delays in turbine deliveries due to the disruption in the global shipping caused by the war in the Middle East. And that's all. I will send this, and then what I will do, I will wait for this email to arrive on my LinkedIn account. When this email arrives on my LinkedIn account, I will see it in a minute here. Okay, it's already arrived here with the word risk. So it's something that should be triggering the workflow. This is my workflow here, and it's ready to be triggered. When I go on executions, I can see previous executions of this workflow. And if I go back to the editor of my workflow, I can execute, for example, my workflow. And then look, it did this, it checked it already, and it's already doing the analysis. So it's all using the OpenAI. This is already done. It's a risk. It's being analyzed. It's already got the risk database. And now it's saving. And then I go here on the risk report. Delays in turbine deliveries caused by global shipping disruption from the conflict in the Middle East, resulting in project scheduling slippage, increased cost, and potential contractual penalties. So it's already filled for me my risk register. And I also receive on my inbox a risk. Hi, your risk was received in our system. And then details of the risk, probability, and everything else. So this is all based on the way I wrote here. For example, here, let me fix here. For system, I can put whatever here in our company. And this will be a trigger. So this is a perfect example of a workflow doing. You can use this workflow to risk register to anything you may need in your project workflow. And what is important, this will automate repetitive tasks that can be simple tasks or can be complex tasks like risk management. One of the most difficult challenges a project manager can face is being parachuted into an ongoing project. This often happens when a previous manager leaves suddenly and you are tasked with picking up the pieces. That is exactly what we will address in the coming lessons. Your first mission is to understand the project's landscape. So you will start collecting all the documentation you can find. You meet with every team and ask for their files, their reports, and their plans. But instead of clarity, you find chaos. This was exactly the situation with a project called Phoenix. The project folder was a complete mess, containing over 100 files with no clear organization. There were 12 different versions of the work breakdown structure. There were 8 different project charters. The budget was listed as $450,000 in one document, $500,000 in another, and $380,000 in a third document. Key scope questions, like whether a mobile app was included, has a conflicting yes and no answer scattered across different files. This is the classic problem of having no single source of truth. When you cannot trust your own documentation, you cannot make sound decisions. Leading a project effectively is impossible when the foundation is built on contradiction. So that is our challenge. In our next lesson, I will show you Claude Cowork, assessing our files, analyzing them, and bringing clarity and organization to our project documentation. As we saw on the previous video, we have a big problem. We have hundreds of files that are completely messed up, and I need to bring order to this. And I will use Claude Cowork, and we'll do that now. So what you can see on the screen now is my prompt. And my prompt is explaining. I was just assigned as a project manager of a new project, so I'm just giving here on the first and second paragraph some context. And I want to give Claude Cowork some instructions. So first, scan the folder and show me a summary of the total files, date range, types of content. And before analyzing, ask me what I'm hoping to discover. So recurring topics, contradictions, evolutions of thinking, action items, and whether certain files or time periods should be prioritized, and what format would be the most useful for the final analysis. If there are more than 20 files, and I know that I have 100 files, start by analyzing just the 10 most recent, because I don't want it to make 100 files wrong. So what I want, let's test with 10. If everything is okay, then we'll roll out to the other files. Organize the folder and create a folder with the official version that I will use going forward. Create a folder called delete for the files I should disregard. So delete all other subfolders to avoid confusion. At the end, I just want two subfolders. One is called official version and the other one it's called delete. If we go here and see, these are my files and my folders. So I have folders called do not delete. I have a folder called scope, admin docs. And if I open do not delete, this has WBS backup and scope official. Then if I go to scope documents, I have a scope version 2. If I go to Sarah's file, I will have my risk notes, stakeholder meeting notes, and status report. So it's a completely messed up setup, and I want to bring order to this. So what I will do, I will go back to my prompt. I will copy my prompt. Okay, so all this explanation, and then I will go to Claude Cowork. To use Claude Cowork, you need to have Claude app installed in your computer. Then you click, this is the traditional Claude chat, and then it's the Cowork, it's this middle one. Then what I will do, I will paste this prompt here. So all my prompt that I brought from Word. And then this is the secret. I will ask work in a folder. And then I will click here, choose a folder, and I will pick my folder, Claude Cowork Phoenix project files. So this is exactly the project files I want to work with. As soon as I do that, Claude is asking me the permission. Can I work on this folder? And then I will say always allow. I'm allowing Claude Cowork to make adjustments on this. So this is my setup. When I press let's go, it will start analyzing and it will start fixing all the structures. So remember this structure here, and let's see what Claude Cowork will do when I press this let's go button, and the results we'll see in our next lesson. Right now, it's time to see Claude Cowork in action. I will now press let's go, and let's see what will happen. When I press this, it's immediately start to put for me the progress. So it's thinking and it's starting scanning my folders. And if I open here, I can see the progress, I can see the files, I can see the context. So it's listing all directories and it's starting working on my files. Remember that my files are this messy set of files, so in different folders, different redundant documents, and it's exploring this structure and it's getting a sense of the actual content, and it's trying to make a sample of the initial documents. Now we can see the results. 111 PDF files plus one system file, 36 directories, and date range January and February 2025. So roughly 5 weeks of activity and 100% PDF. And now this pop-up is asking me a question. What are you hoping to discover from this analysis? recurring themes and contradictions, evolution of thinking, action items and open decisions, all of the above. I want recurring themes and contradictions. I want the single source of truth. And then what time period should be prioritized? I have no preference. And what format would be most useful for the final analysis? So what I want is an executive summary PDF. Okay, so I reply to this. Types of content, the chaos is real, so it's identifying. I answer this, and now it's using to do right to prepare my file. So let's take a look on what will happen. So I will switch between this screen and this screen. Look, it's reading and analyzing the first batch of 10 files. Remember, I asked it, if there are more than 20 files, take only 10 and analyze them, okay? And then present the top 3 to 5 patterns and examples, and then we'll analyze the remaining. Remember, always when I'm using an agent, I have this step by step. So it read these files, so it's presenting the top patterns. So the budget has never been agreed upon. So 500, 450, so all this discrepancy. Mobile app scope keeps flip-flopping. Pattern 3, the go-live dates appear at least in 4 different versions. So all these patterns. So it's a real mess, okay? It's a real mess. So what I need now, these 5 patterns are already visible on these files, and there are 101 more PDFs to go through. Before I continue with the full analysis of the organization, does this feel like I am on the right track? So why Claude is asking me this? It's like a human. It's presenting me a feedback, and I say, please move forward. Please move forward. It is all right. Let's ask it to continue. And now what we'll do, it will work on this, and it will start working on the following instructions. So it will analyze everything. It will move to the delete the files it will not use. So it will do everything. It's updating the to-do list. So it's on number 3. So let me read to all remaining files. So it's 111 files. So it's a lot of files. So imagine a human reading all 100 documents. And here you will see it's reading in real time in a matter of seconds. So now it's organizing the folder. Let's see what will happen. So this is my folder structure. Remember, Cloud Cowork is working behind this screen, and I just want to see if something will change on this structure. Remember, we have this set of more than 30 folders, and everything is spread up. Let's see what will happen when it starts to move and to act on these files. So now you can see on the top right, delete and official version. The 2 folders appear here on the top right. Let's see what else it will happen on my screen. So this is my Finder and my folder structure, and let's see what happened. Now there is a super important point. It created the 2 folders for me, but now it's asking me, do I have a permission to delete the folders? And I need to come here and say, yes, I'm allowing you to do that. I will allow, and then I will go and take a look on what will happen here when I'm allowing Cloud Cowork to delete files. Wow. So everything disappeared, and all the official version is here, the documents that I should use for this project, and these all files I should delete because they are redundant or they are not the sharpest documents. So with that, I have the full awareness of what is happening with my project. And at the end, Claude is writing for me a summary PDF with everything and all the actions I need to analyze on this project. Now, there is only one more step. And this step is to create a summary of what Cloud Cowork did for me. And this summary we will analyze in our next lesson. After finishing the process, what we see is a small report here. So telling me all the 6 pages, the folder reorganization, official version, delete, everything. And I can download my file, my executive summary, by clicking here. When I click here, I will access the PDF. So look how nice. So Phoenix Customer Portal, the date, everything, and all the document overview, the versions, the copies, and what version it's is still using, the top 5 contradictions on everything regarding the budget, regarding the mobile app, regarding the go live. So if I need, I can discuss on these points. I can analyze each of these contradictions, additional findings, incomplete documents, everything. So it's an executive report ready for what I did. With that, we saw the power of Cloud Cowork. And what I did, honestly, it's less than the tip of the iceberg. You can use Cloud Cowork for many actions on your file. You can rename files, you can act on files, you can edit files, you can, for example, point to a specific file and ask it to be translated. It's pretty much endless possibilities that you can use. And this example is something that is very close to the pain of incoming project managers. Because, for example, finding the right information, trying to analyze the source of truth, it's not easy. And with Cloud Cowork, you can do that in few minutes. Less than 5 minutes, everything will be ready for you to use. The conversation around AI in project management is no longer about simple assistance. It's about true autonomy. We are now entering the era of the silicon-based workforce, where digital agents operate as independent members of the project team. This shift was accelerated by the viral emergence of open source projects like OpenClaw in early 2026. OpenClaw demonstrated a new paradigm, an AI that runs locally in your machine, interacts through everyday chat apps, and has the authority to execute real-world tasks. It can manage your files, control your browser, and even write its own code to learn new skills, all while maintaining a persistent memory of your preferences. The recent acquisition of OpenClaw by OpenAI confirms that this level of autonomy is rapidly moving from the fringe to the mainstream. By 2028, Gartner predicts that 50% of all day-to-day work decisions will be made by an AI agent without human intervention. This means autonomous agents will not just track progress, but will independently create project plans, allocate resources, and dynamically adjust to challenges. However, this power demands a new level of trust and security. As Microsoft notes, every agent must be given a clear identity and security permissions, just like a human employee, to make sure they don't become double agents carrying out unchecked risks. While these agents excel at data-driven optimization, they still lack the nuanced emotional intelligence and ethical judgment of a human leader. Therefore, the project manager's role evolves from a taskmaster to a strategic overseer, guiding the why while the autonomous agents handles the how. So what do we do as project managers preparing for this shift? Here are 5 actions you can take right now. First, start small. Identify one repetitive task on your current project, like status reporting or risk logs updates, and pilot an AI agent to handle it. Learn from that before scaling up. Second, define your delegation framework. For every task, ask yourself, is this a decision that requires human judgment, or it's a pattern an agent can learn? That distinction will become the most important skills in your toolkit. Third, treat AI agents like new team members. Give them a clear scope of authority, set boundaries, and review their outputs regularly, especially in the first weeks. Fourth, invest in your uniquely human skills now. Strategic thinking, stakeholder negotiation, and ethical judgment are the areas where your value will compound as agents take over the operational workload. And fifth, ask yourself this question in every project meeting. What would I do differently if I had an autonomous agent available right now? That mindset shift alone will put you ahead of the most of the industry. The future of project management isn't about being replaced by AI. It's about leading alongside it. The complexity of modern projects is quickly outpacing the capabilities of any single AI model. This has given rise to the next evolution in agentic AI, multi-agent systems, or MAS. Think of it as not a single superbrain, but as a highly specialized digital project team. In these systems, a collection of distinct AI agents collaborate to achieve a shared project goal. One agent might be a risk specialist, another a budget analyst, and a third a communications expert, all orchestrated by a central coordinating agent. This approach is gaining incredible traction, with Gartner reporting a nearly 1,500% surge in enterprise inquiries about multi-agent systems just in the last year. Frameworks like Microsoft's AutoGen and the popular Creo AI are making it easier than ever to build and deploy these collaborative agent teams. They enable agents to communicate, negotiate, and align their action in real time to solve complex problems. We are now seeing the emergence of decentralized agent swarms, where peer agents coordinate through shared memory with no single controller. This paves the way for what experts are calling the Internet of Agents, where specialized agents from different organizations can discover and collaborate with each other on demand. However, this new paradigm introduced new challenges, particularly around security and governance. Managing a team of AI agents requires robust frameworks to resolve conflicts, validate outputs, and prevent the compounding of errors. Ultimately, the competitive advantage in Project Manager will no longer be the power of a single AI model. but the intelligence of their coordination. Managing projects across continents introduce layers of complexity that go far beyond time zones and language barriers. The most significant recent advancement is the rise of truly multilingual AI agents capable of operating fluently in over 95 languages. And these are not just simple translators. They understand the cultural context and nuances embedded within the language. For example, an agent can now adapt its communication style, level of formality, and even its interpretation of feedback to align with regional norms. In a global product launch, a multi-agent system can coordinate tasks seamlessly across continents. One agent might analyze market sentiment in Europe. Another manages the supply chain in Asia. And a third one handles stakeholder communications in North America, all in real time. However, this automation does not eliminate the need for human oversight. An AI might efficiently schedule a meeting for Friday afternoon, but it requires human expertise to know that this is a sacred time of rest in many Middle Eastern countries. The future of global project management lies in a powerful partnership. Human leaders provide the essential cultural wisdom and strategic direction, while AI agents handle the complex logistic of cross-border coordination. This synergy allows global teams to operate with unprecedented efficiency and cultural awareness, turning cultural differences into a strategic advantage rather than a barrier. We must also confront where AI actively harms project management. The gap between a flawless demo and a real-world production is vast, with Gartner predicting 40% of all agentic AI's projects will fail. These systems often collapse because they are built on a fragile foundation, prone to confident hallucination and bad decisions. An agent can misinterpret messy real-world data, leading to a flawed budget and corrupted project plans that go unnoticed. This creates a dangerous feedback loop where one agent's error cascades across an entire multi-agent system, amplifying the damage. Beyond technical failures, there is a significant human cost in the form of professional de-skilling. When project managers blindly trust AI for analysis, they begin to lose their own critical thinking and intuitive judgment. This over-reliance leads to a phenomenon called cognitive offloading, where our ability to solve problems atrophies from lack of use. Furthermore, when an autonomous agent makes catastrophic error, it creates an accountability vacuum. This is the moral crumple zone, where blame is diffused between the user, the developer, and the machine, with no one truly responsible. AI also perpetuates and scales historical bias hidden in project data, leading to unfair resource allocation or team selection. Ultimately, by over-automating, we risk stripping away the essential human elements of leadership: empathy, ethical judgment, and cultural awareness. True progress requires us to see agents not as replacements, but as powerful tools that still demand our critical oversight. So what can project managers do right now? First, audit before you automate. Before deploying any AI agent, map every decision point it will touch and define clear human checkpoints for high-stakes outputs. Second, keep your judgment sharp. Deliberately practice making estimates, risk assessments, and team decisions without AI assistance. Use AI to challenge your thinking, not to replace it. Third, establish accountability by design. Every AI-assisted decision must have a named human owner. If no one can be held responsible, the process is not ready to be automated. Fourth, audit your data for bias. Regularly review AI outputs for patterns in resource allocation and team selection. Remember, garbage in, injustice out. Fifth, lead with what AI cannot replicate. Invest in your empathy, stakeholder trust, and ethical judgment. These are your competitive advantage in an automated world. The future of project management is not human versus machine. It's human judgment amplified by AI and guided by our accountability. We have reached the end of our journey together. But your adventure with AI agent is just beginning. Remember that these demonstrations are not the final destination. They are the starting point. I strongly encourage you to take the workflows we have built and adapt them to your unique project environment. Challenge yourself to modify the prompts, swap out the data sources, and integrate them into real challenges you face every single day. The tools we used, Manus, N8N, and Claude, are just a glimpse into a vast and rapidly growing ecosystem. Explore the endless possibilities, test new platforms, and never stop experimenting. Here is how I do it and how I recommend you to approach it as well. I make it a habit to follow newsletters like The Superhuman and TLDR AI. They surface new tools, agent frameworks every single day in just a few minutes of reading. I dedicate at least 1 hour per week to hands-on experimentation, not watching tutorials, actually building. Pick one real problem from your current project and try to automate just one step of it. I also recommend joining communities like r/project management on Reddit and AI Accelerator Institute, where practitioners share what is actually working in production, not just in demos. When a new tool catches my attention, I apply a simple 3-step test. Can it save me time? Can it reduce a recurring error? Can I explain how it works to a stakeholder? If the answer to all 3 is yes, I integrate it. And finally, I keep a personal AI log, a simple document where I record every workflow I test, what worked, what failed, and what I learned. Over time, this becomes your most valuable asset as an AI-augmented project manager. The future of our profession is not about being replaced by AI, but about leveraging it to amplify our own strategic and leadership capabilities. And now, you are equipped with the foundational skills to be at the forefront of this transformation. Thank you very much for being with me on this course. Now it's time for you to go out and build the future of project management. Thank you very much. See you next time.